Hey there, it's Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. So before we start this video, I kind of want to ask you guys, do you like this positioning in front of my new shelves? Would you like me to try out a couple of other positions to see which, location on the shelves is the best to film in front of? Do you want to see more of the shelves? Let me know. Today's video is going to be kind of a TBR video, even though I'm not taking part in any readathons, and I realised that it's September and the end of the year is very rapidly coming. How did that happen? I don't know what even is time anymore. But also, there are a lot of goals that I haven't actually gotten to, and I was like, ooh, okay, I need to actually actively try and target some of these goals. So this video is going to help me try and target my 20 thriller/horror books that I've read this year. So the other day I asked people that follow me on Twitter if they would help me out by picking some random numbers and a left and right thing. So what I was actually asking for at that point in time were locations on my shelves. And so I'll just break down how I actually found those locations. So technically I have 7 really long shelves, but the way that the wood goes against each other, there's technically 14. There's 14 planks of wood, so we're going to say that there's 14 shelves. So the first thing that I did was I went through the shelves and picked out which shelves actually had thriller/horror books on them, because there's no point somebody picking a shelf that then doesn't have anything on it. So 9 of the shelves do have a thriller book on it at least. Then I asked them to pick left or right, and that was so I could choose which side to count from. So if it was left, I would come in from the left, and if it was right, I would come in from the right. And then the numbers 1 to 15 were just so that I could count through it. I know there actually aren't that many thrillers on each shelf. There's one shelf that has a huge number of thrillers on, and then all the others have I think about 10. So what I was planning to do is if it hit over 15, then I was just going to count again from the beginning. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to go and find all the books that all 9 of the people who responded to this tweet picked out. I'm really glad not too many more people did that, because 9 is already a stretch, but we will see. Hopefully you guys haven't picked giant books out for me, because my little brain still can't handle giant books right now. I'm gonna go and pick them, and then I will talk you guys through the ones that I picked. Okay, sorry the lighting's bad and you're in my shaky hand, but here we are. I'm picking out the books. Okay, so this top shelf up here actually has got a thriller on it, so at some point I'm gonna have to get up there if anyone picked shelf 1. So our first pick comes from shelf number 2, and so that is this shelf here, and we're counting from the right, so we're going to count from here. Now, the really annoying thing about this shelf is that all of these books over here, none of them are thriller or horror books. So, I mean, actually, technically, I would say that this is a horror. Is it a horror? Is it classic? I don't know, is Dracula technically a horror? So we need the 11th book on this shelf. So, we're only going to count ones that I've read as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Great. So the first book we have is The Vanished Man by Jeffrey Deaver. Remember when I was just saying that, somebody would definitely pick off of shelf number 1? Well, they did. Thanks, Kat. I'm pretty sure that you only picked that number because you knew that I would have to get my step letters out to actually get any of these. Thanks, though. So, I don't think any of my graphic novels are actually thriller or horrors, so we're going to go from the left, but technically the first one I haven't read that is a thriller or a horror on this shelf is Lying in Wait, and we're going left too, so technically I think we're after Vampires by John Stakely, which is the best name to write a book about vampires on. I'm not going to get that right now because I'm already on my tiptoes and I'm way too small to get that, but I will get it later. Next up, we're picking from shelf 9, which is the shelf that I don't like the most. I don't know why, it just was with all these white books. It just happened to be a really unaesthetically pleasing shelf. Anyway, we have Room, Jack the Ripper's Secret Confession, which technically I'm going to count as some sort of thriller because people usually write thrillers about him, and this book is never going to get read if I don't start including it on some lists. So that, and then Tammy Hoag's Secrets to the Grave. Those are the 3 thriller horror books that I've got on here. So we're counting from the left and we're counting 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we are going with Room by Emma Donoghue. Now we're on shelf number 3 and we are counting from the left and we are doing 11. So none of these. Oh, we're onto my horror shelf, like my very, very limited collection of horror that exists on my actual shelves. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to count this one anyway because it's kind of on the edge. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, 11. Oh god, I can't count. So we're on Play Dead by Angela Marsons. So the next one comes from shelf number 7. We're going right 13. The annoying thing about this shelf is that these are all kind of the same series, and I'm not going to pick like book 13 when I'm on book 8, so I'm only going to pick like the next book in that series. So we're going to start on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have In Bloom by CJ Skews, which is good because I really want to read this one. Our next pick is actually off the same shelf and it's 7, right 3. So 1, 2, 3. And oh my god, I'm so glad this book got picked because it's on my 2020 list. Oh no, mistakes were made. 13 was like, why not me? And I'll tell you why 13, because I've read you already, okay? So now we're on shelf 4, which is this bottom one over here. We're going from the left and we're counting 2. So I don't think any of those are. So the cutting room is number 1 and number 2 is The Hypnotist. Is that a thriller? I think it's a thriller. Chunky. Wyatt Chunky. Okay, so now we've got shelf number 5, which is this one up here, and we're going right 12. So I'm going to count this one. Even though it is a black shelf book, it does have a detective in it. It counts as a thriller, I think. It sounds like it did. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Time of Death it is, which I already started reading once and never actually finished. Time to finish it. Now we're on to shelf number 8. We are going left 9, so there are like 3 thrillers on here. So we're going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Inferno. Chunky. Love it. Thanks. In case anyone was wondering, yes, I do have a stepladder because, wow. Otherwise, how am I supposed to get up here? I still have to reach up to get this. I totally forgot that I needed to get this book, but now I have it. Okay, so I've gathered all the books now, and I'm going to show you guys them in order of the books that I actually want to read, like my level of excitement for these ones. We'll go in descending order. So the one I'm most excited to read is In Bloom by CJ Skews. This is the sequel to Sweet Pea, which I really loved. It was really relatable, strangely, and a lot of dark humour, lots of murder. It should be fun. I've been wanting to read this one for quite a while now. Then we have The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. I've been meaning to read this one for ages. It's on my 20 books to read before the end of 2020, so I'm so glad that this one turned up because I was going to have to read it anyway, so. Then we have Inferno by Dan Brown, right? I know he's like not that great of an author. Like I know they're not considered particularly good books, but like I have like a soft spot for them, and there's something about this one, I don't know if it's because it's kind of plaguey. Why do I want to read a book about a plague? During a pandemic? I don't know, but you know, I'm kind of intrigued. I know it's a chunky boy, but like, these books have always been really easy to read. I read the last one when I was on holiday for a week one time, so, and it only took me a couple of days. So I should be able to get through this one, even though it is a chunky boy. Then we have Time of Death by Alex Barkley. Now, I tried to read this one after I'd accidentally read the book that comes after this, and I know that there was a character that died in this one, so it kind of put me off reading it. But I did like the writing, and I liked that the main character has bipolar disorder. It was interesting. It's just a serial killer-y type one. I'm interested, and I want to go back to it and give it another chance, because I don't know why I ever gave up on it. I think it was just in a reading slump or something. Then we have Vampires by John Stakely. Honestly, don't know what this is about. The guy's name, though. It sold this to me. My uncle gave me this and he said it was really good. It's like scary vampires, so horror. Actually intrigued to read a horror book because I haven't read one for a little while. Then we have Play Dead by Angela Marsons. Honestly, no idea what this one's about. Probably a serial killer murder detective type story. I like going into things quite blind, so. Then we have Room by Emma Donoghue. Like, I know what this one's about. I feel like it's going to be a bit hard-hitting, and I know it's from a child's perspective, which throws a lot of people off, and I'm a bit like, I've just put off reading it for a very long time. So, yeah, there's this one. Then we have The Vanished Man by Jeffrey Deaver. So, I mean, the cover's ugly. I mean, that's a horrible reason to not want to pick up a book, right? But, like, words are kind of small, and it's like kind of a small book, but it's still a chunky boy, and so I just quickly looked at the back. I don't know what it is, but I recognize the name of it as a guy that was in another book that I read, which is the only other Jeffrey Deaver book that I've read, and it was like unnecessarily long. It was like 600 pages and it really didn't need to be. I felt like you could just like chop out half of that book. So I'm a little bit scared going into this one because I feel like if I don't like this, then am I just done with Jeffrey Deaver? I guess it'll be a good test and then I can just unhaul all the Jeffrey Deaver books if I don't like them. But we'll see. And last but not least, we have The Hypnotist by Lars Kepler. This was actually on a list of books that I was considering unhauling, and then I didn't end up unhauling it, but now I'm kind of wishing I had because now I have to read it and it's huge. I mean, actually, I say that, it's actually only about 400 something pages. It just looks really big. I don't really know what it's about, and I don't really like the cover on this one either. What is it with like ugly covers? Like, I can deal with it if your cover's like sort of vague dead body. Like, I can deal with that, but when they're like trying to be like, what is that? Like masks and faceless people. I just don't care that much. Anyway, so this is the one I'm least looking forward to. But I'll know if I actually want to unhaul it because I'm going to read it now. So there's that. Anyway, you've just had to listen to me ramble for far too long. I should probably actually get reading some of these books, given that it's quite far into September and I've not finished a book yet, so I should go do that. So if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!